Daredevil, the man without fear. Good old Double D. He can tell you're full of shit by listening to your heartbeat. Foggy, I know you ate the last nutty bar. Don't even try to deny it. I can hear it clogging up your arteries, you pudgy bastard. This partnership is over! Can you believe the only Daredevil game in existence is a semi-movie tie-in game that came out only for the Game Boy Advance? Crazy, right? We get a freaking full-fledged Halle Berry Catwoman console game, but old Hornhead can't catch a break. By the way, that Catwoman game is horrible and you shouldn't touch it with a 10-foot pole, but I'm sure you already know that. Maybe with the success of the Netflix show and the recent comeback of superhero video games, Daredevil will finally get his shot. But for now, let's see if this little guy can hold him down. The game begins with some terribly compressed stills from the movie. My god, you can count the amount of pixels on Affleck's face. I mean, what the hell am I looking at here? Is this a phallus? Like I said before, this isn't exactly a movie tie-in game despite opening with movie stills. It also shares the same character designs, but it seems to ignore the events from the movie, like Elektra being seemingly killed. I know she gets resurrected in her standalone movie, but Matt doesn't even comment on the matter. Like, hey, last time I saw you, you were meat on a stick. And you stabbed me in the shoulder. Not cool. Even Stick makes an appearance, a prominent character in Daredevil's origin who's mysteriously absent from the movie. First off, I have to say the graphics are great. The colors are vibrant and pop out at you how they would in a comic book page. The animations are fluid and the character sprites are well put together. Although Daredevil's ass looks like it's caving in on itself when he's climbing up a ladder. And I realize this is the second time I've commented on a superhero's ass in my videos, but if I'm gonna criticize a game, I gotta look at it from all angles. Gameplay wise, it's a pretty standard beat 'em up, with 2 attack buttons, one being your fisticuffs for giving baddies the old 1-2, and one of the shoulder buttons to hit them in the head with your billy club. I was happy to find out that you can perform 2 additional moves by experimenting with button combinations, one being this billy club side whack that'll knock enemies back, which is pretty handy if you're near a ledge. There's also this awesome spinning torpedo attack that works well against enemies with projectiles. There's also a bit of strategy involved when deciding what type of attack to use for certain enemies. For example, if you use your fist for one type of enemy, you can temporarily stun them, giving you an opening for more attacks. Whereas if you were to use the billy club, it would knock them down, forcing you to wait a couple seconds until they get back up and continue the fight, which can be a major drag since you can run into a lot of enemies. Same goes for the billy club. There's some enemies that you can straight up stun block them, rendering them helpless. But is fighting crime too much of a chore for you? Why not just run through the level? Yeah, you can actually just make a beeline to the end of the level, ignoring every goon along the way. With the exception of 2 levels for some reason, this should have been applied to every level. Unless you're a stealth game or something like that, the combat shouldn't be optional. This is a big gripe I have with beat 'em ups. It diminishes the challenge. You should actually have to beat them up. Get it? I know it's my choice, but hey, I'm already lazy as hell to begin with. So if you're giving me an easier alternative, you're damn right I'm gonna run by these murderers, thieves, and alligators. Oh my god, Foggy was right!
There are alligators in the sewers. Don't ride my ass about the alligator.
What's a side-scrolling beat 'em up without pickups? You got your standard health pickups and Devilman heads for lives. There's also a pickup that turns you into the Millennium Crimson Chin, making you temporarily invulnerable. And there's these... I mean, what the hell am I looking at here? Is this a phallus? And you got these hot dogs with no bun or ketchup. What's the point? Here, you can have it. How's it taste? Check out those double Ds. Whew. Nice. These are for unlocking bonuses like movie stills, artwork, and alternate costumes for yourself and bosses, which I wish were the standard look for them. The wacky outfits and bright colors are much more appealing than the boring gray ones they initially have. Some of these pickups are invisible to the naked eye, or I guess, blind eye. But then again, isn't everything? Alright. Anyway, this is when Daredevil's heightened senses come into play. When you're near one, your spidey sense will go off and you can trigger your detective mode to see it. Huh. Check it out, Daredevil did it first way back in 2003, 6 years before Arkham Asylum, in a GBA game nonetheless. Sadly, there's not much use for it beyond collecting pickups, with the exception of a boss fight with Echo. You fight her on top of a moving train, and there'll be points where the screen goes completely black when you go into a dark tunnel, unless you trigger your heightened senses. I would have loved to see more instances like this. Just before this boss fight, there's another level on top of a moving train, and you have to jump over these obstacles that zoom by, but they hardly do any damage, so there's not much incentive to do so. Now, if they would have increased the damage the obstacles do and added a slow-mo effect when triggering your heightened senses, that would have been a simple and effective integration. Same goes for the Bullseye boss fight, which is criminally underwhelming. Speaking of bosses, they're all pretty lame. Most of them you can easily beat by trapping them in one spot and spamming the attack button. Matt Murdock has taken his Catholicism to the next level by single-handedly taking out every other god that stands in his way, starting with Buddha. I love how every time you beat a boss, you deck them so hard they get knocked into the cosmos. So once you get to the big man himself, Kingpin, you take out his security robots, kick him in the head a couple times, and then he admits to you that it was all an elaborate plan to get you to eliminate his competition in the criminal underground. But of course, there's no actual proof of his involvement, so he's able to get away with all of it. You know, usual Kingpin shit. Before we're through, we're treated to a couple more compressed stills from the movie, and Affleck's pixely mug. Hey Foggy, you in? Listen man, I'm sorry, I got you a box of nutty bars, Foggy. Hey Matt, guess what? I got a new job in security for some Tony Stark guy. I quadrupled my salary. I already had 10 nutty bars this morning. I guess you could say I'm really happy. Hogan. My name's Happy Hogan now. The new guy should be in shortly. New guy? Hey. Avocados at law.
I'm not the bad guy.
So that's Daredevil on the Game Boy Advance. A simple brawler during simpler times with a couple shortcomings here and there. I hope you liked the first episode of my new series where I review heroic adventures on the go. Stay tuned to find out which hero will be next. It might in fact be a certain flaming skull-headed motorcycle riding leather jacket wearing certain someone. I don't know. Why don't you subscribe and find out?